It's VGC Legends. It's the series where I spin a wheel, I get a random legendary Pokemon, I speed build a team around that Pokemon, and I try it out on the Regulation I ladder. It's something I do for two reasons, one being that I like legendary Pokemon, and the other being that spamming a bunch of speed-built teams makes for some fun and engaging gameplay that maybe teaches me something along the way. It's currently occupying my go-to 5 p.m. upload slot every day that I don't have something else planned, because there are a lot of legendaries and not a lot of time in Reg I, unless it goes longer than has been announced, but I'm working with the information I have. I guess it's part of the bit now. I say this every single time. This is part 27 of the series. We're getting close to the halfway point, and there has not been a Generation 2 Legendary selected by the wheel. Also, almost half the wheel now is Gens 8 and 9, as those have had a bit of a dry spell too. So, much more likely that we get one of those two generations than that we get Gen 2, but if I keep calling out the lack of Gen 2 representation, eventually it will come to be represented. Let's see what today's Legendary is. That wheel go. We've blown past Gen 2 once again. We're heading into Gen 4, 5 territory, 5. Virizion, okay. That seems like the hardest of that trio to use, but let's see what I can do. Yeah, so Cobalion at least was a fighting type, and Terrakion, when we get to that, will sort of benefit from being a rock type and that it has some offensive value. Virizion's type combination is not very convincing, and that goes with a not very convincing stat spread for this format. Honestly, these attacking stats are worse than I remembered. It does have usable attack and special attack, so I actually could go with like a Calm Mind. I think it gets Calm Mind. It does get Calm Mind. I could go with that if I want. I could do a fast coaching support. I think more likely we don't overcook this one like we did with Cobalion, and we just lean into the Justified setup, although... yeah, I don't know how to make that work with Virizion. By the way, we are kind of flying blind this time because I checked Munch stats. I really thought Virizion might get just enough usage to show up, but no. Nothing. And I'm not even going to check tournament results. I'd be shocked if anything were to be found there. Okay, so looking at our options, I could go physical attacking, right? Leaf Blade, Close Combat, something like that. Maybe a Terra Blast. It doesn't get a whole lot else. It gets Quick Attack. That honestly might be usable with attack boosting. For special offense, there's Calm Mind. Aura Sphere. Pick a Grass Attack. It also gets Air Slash. Not sure what utility that has. For support, there's Taunt. There's Coaching. It gets Screens. So there are a few options. It's just, it gets Quick Guard as well. And Upper Hand. There are a few ways to use this Pokemon. It's just surely difficult to make any of them work. I don't hate the support idea, but let's look at the Justified setup. I would want something to use Beat Up, right? Because that's how you maximize your Justified boost. You use Beat Up to get 4 hits. And I'm not really inclined to use Whimsicott because that's doubling up on grass type Pokemon for the setup. Pretty exploitable. Beat Up Farigiraf honestly is not the craziest idea. Of course, the advantage of Whimsicott is that it's fast, which Farigiraf is not. I could do Ambipom. I don't love Pheasantipity because either one of these abilities is counterproductive for side Beat Up. Unless I were to run Terra Poison or Steel Virizion and commit to the Terra, but that doesn't seem like a good idea. Mousehold is an option for sure. Mousehold is probably the best option. Alright, let's say I'm doing Virizion and Mousehold in a really, really scuffed Terracotta variant. Right? Friend Guard Mousehold. Beat Up. Follow Me. I like to run Population Bomb on Mousehold even if I don't have Technician, because Population Bomb is just so strong. But that, that could be negotiable. I could make that Super Fang or something. Protect. Virizion. I don't need Swords Dance if I'm running Justified. I probably want to clear Amulet. Justified doesn't stop Intimidate, right? No. Some abilities gained that power in Gen 8, but it's not one of them. I'd probably want Leaf Blade, Close Combat. Probably just 3 attacks and Protect, right? So I could do Quick Attack. Alternatively, what gaps in coverage are there with Grass and Fighting? Okay, Fighting is weak into Psychic, Fairy, Flying, and Poison. Okay, Poison is immediately a single type gap in coverage. And so is Flying, actually. Poison's not as relevant. I could run into an Eternatus. The way the ladder seems to go these days, if I don't cover for Eternatus, I'll probably run into like 4 of them in a row. But Flying is more pressing. So I could do Electric Terra Blast, or Ice Terra Blast, or Rock Terra Blast. Whatever I think is more valuable. There's honestly a case for Rock defensively. Rock is not an amazing defensive typing, but it does cover a lot of Grass's weaknesses. It doesn't get a Rock type attack, does it? A lot of physical attackers get something, but looks like a no here. All right, well we can think about that. I have not yet picked a restricted Pokemon. I've just picked 2 Pokemon that get like no usage in this format. Mousehold, I think, gets some usage, but these are not exactly top threats. This is going to be a gimmick team. That's how it goes sometimes with a series like this. What restricted duo do I want with Virizion? Well, immediately I have the fighting type physical attacker. Shadow Rider Calyrex feels like a likely complement to it. I also like Shadow Rider with Mousehold. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I'm not going to commit to it right now, but we can pencil it in. But Virizion is going to invite what? It's going to have trouble with Sun teams. It's going to have trouble with, like, Tornadus. Sun teams feel like a real issue. Koraidon, Fluttermane, Chi-Yu. They all kind of ruin Virizion's state. Virizion is not going to be good, is it? I could do Kyogre. Right? Kyogre gives me weather control. It gives me another setup option to pair with Mousehold. I could do Calm Mind Kyogre with Follow Me Mousehold. Although, if I'm running Calm Mind, I'm not pivoting it around and... resetting weather. I could do Kyogre Tornadus, Tornogre. And then I might want to reconsider the Shadow Rider. Although it's probably still not bad. How are we feeling about, like, Regieleki? And Ice Rider Calyrex? Does that make sense? Ice Rider could benefit from Mousehold support as well. But so could Shadow Rider. And I don't think there's room for a Trick Room component on this team, at least the way it's constructed. Regieleki, I'm thinking, gives me a bit more speed control. It's the fastest Pokemon in the game. A bit more coverage. Fastest Pokemon in the game, and it gets Electro Web. Kind of don't hate that idea. How does this beat opposing Trick Room? Beats me. Maybe I need an Incineroar. Also gets Rain Dance. Also, I could run Rain Dance, but it's not really a move that I want to drop. But if I want weather control, I could go that route. This is ridiculous, but it's because I started with a silly premise. The justified Virizion. Maybe, I mean, I could just do the slap a choice scarf on Virizion and use it to plug a hole in coverage in a more solid team, but if I'm building around it, and it has this one gimmicky thing going for it. I think I do want to try it out. It might be one of the worst teams that I make in this series, but I don't think I want to back down from that. Does Regieleki get taunt? No? That didn't seem very likely. Is there another restricted Pokemon that can plug some of these holes? Honestly, maybe Mewtwo, but that's a lot of bad Pokemon piled up on one team. No, Mewtwo gets taunt, I think, but it doesn't really do anything else that I want here. I think I'm down to just try this. How do I beat anything with this? How do I beat Miraidon? Well, that could help me pick Virizion's Terra type. Hear me out. Pretty sure that still loses to Miraidon. Terra Electric. Might take a hit. I feel like Shadow Rider Calyrex might still be a little out of place, but I think with the choice specs set, right, it could team up with Virizion, maybe Kyogre in some modes, and just try to overwhelm. And you know what? I think this series is overdue for a truly gimmicky team. I think I've been playing it a little bit safe lately. So, this looks kind of absurd. Do I want Raging Bolt instead of Regieleki? Raging Bolt, it gets Electro Web, right? But it doesn't have the... Relax, it doesn't have the high speed. There's also Raichu, that's an option. And Raichu gives me Fake Out as well. I'm gonna go Regieleki. We're just gonna embrace the jank here. I think this series needs something like that once in a while. I might lose every game of the video. I mean, I definitely won't, because if I lose a bunch in a row, I'll keep playing until I win one. But we're supposed to experiment here, so let's do it. I'm gonna do the Terra Electric Virizion. That gives me coverage into flying types, and at the same time, potential to take hit from Miraidon. The special bulk. Mousehold probably will look basically like this. Terra, Ghost, or Grass. Let's pencil in Ghost. What's the item? Wide Lens for the Population Bomb. Focus Sash. Probably has to be Focus Sash. Probably has to be Focus Sash in this format. Or Covert Cloak. Probably one of those two items on Mousehold, the other on Regieleki. I'm thinking Specs. Shadow Rider, so that it's not too much setup all on one team here. Astral Barrage, Psychic, Shadow Ball, Pollen Puff is the Specs Shadow Rider that I'm familiar with. And then, you know, like that. Combined Kyogre. I'll have to think about how to build that. I think we go back to Terra Grass instead of the Ghost that I was. Combined is not an Combined is not an item. Something like Combined. You know what's a problem here? Lunala. Lunala is actually a huge problem. The reason that's coming to mind right now is Kyogre is so reliant on spread moves. Well, not reliant, but like it uses them. But I probably want something like Origin Pulse, Ice Beam, Protect. And then how do I deal with Lunala? That is tricky. Is there something in particular? Once again, kind of a case for Incineroar. It's starting to emerge there, but we'll just cross that bridge when we come to it. Maybe I can overwhelm Lunala with attacks. I think we're going to stick to this as it is. Oh, Covert Cloak goes on the Tornadus, doesn't it? And then typical Tailwind, Rain Dance, Bleak Wind Storm, and Taunt. I have Taunt somewhere on the team. Being Prankster boosted means there are some ways for opponents to shut it down. I like Terra Dark Tornadus so that it can't be taunted by a faster opposing Tornadus. I tend to run these very bulky with not much speed these days. And it's very rare that I'm Terastallizing Tornadus anyway, so that's probably the most likely situation where I would want to. And then, yeah, both of the items that I had in mind for Alecki are kind of gone now. I could do Wide Lens Mousehold. I think Mousehold needs to be better able to take a hit. I think Alecki goes Electro Web. I could do Light Clay, right? I could do Electro Web, Terra Ghost, Light Clay, Reflect, Light Screen, Protect. That's an option. On the other hand, I think I want, since I'm not running Thunder on Kyogre, I do have Leaf Blade to remove bulky waters. But I think I probably want Thunderbolt on this. But if I don't go screens, what am I doing? Fury Impulse is always an option. It also gets Rain Dance. I also could run Thunder if I'm running Rain, right? Maybe I don't want to turn that opportunity down. I could drop Protect, because I have the Terra Ghost. Makes it harder to position, but might be worth. What am I even doing with screens on this team, right? Kyogre is the one bulky setup Pokemon. Okay, it benefits from Friend Guard, it benefits from screens. Virizion is set up, but it's not bulky. I don't think this team is meant to sit on the field. Well, I guess the idea is that there are a couple of different ways it can play, but with that in mind... Alright, we'll go Thunder. This team looks really bad, but should be fun. Anyway, let's jump to the finished product. Actually, what about Stamina Assault Vest Archaludon? Benefits from Rain, benefits from Mousehold, maybe plugs some holes a little bit better. I know I don't have the highest expectations for it in this format, but something like that. Electro Shot, Flash Cannon, Dragon Pulse, Snarl, or drop something for Body Press. Gotta have Body Press, right? Do I need Snarl? Snarl feels valuable. Nah, drop Snarl. Flash Cannon, Dragon Pulse, Body Press. We can reconsider depending on how the battles are going. All right, now let's close this out. Okay, so one thing that is nice about this is that Mousehold has just slightly higher base speed than Virizion, so without any special effort on my part, it is going to outspeed just a little bit and get the Body Press off. Body Press? Where did that come from? Get the Beat Up off. Side Beat Up, of course, into Virizion before Virizion then throws off its attack. So hey, we run into an opponent whose Pokemon are all at base 105 speed or lower with no Tailwind. That's a strong first turn. And no redirection. Redirection's a good reason to run Terra Grass Mousehold, actually. Because of the Rage Powder immunity. But, we're gonna try this as is. It's gonna be something, I'm sure. Let's see. I had a team in Gen 8 where I used... It was a rain team. I don't remember all the Pokemon, but I remember I used Belly Drum, Beat Up Charizard with Virizion. And the Charizard had Hurricane as well. I guess that was back when I was a very new player and my quote-unquote normal teams kind of looked like this. Does Charizard not get beat up anymore? I don't remember seeing it in the list of options there. I'll check later. Miraidon Terapagos team with Incineroar, Urshifu, Volcarona, so there's a Rage Powder user right away, and here's another one in Amoonguss. They might not both have Rage Powder, but I'm sure at least one of them does. I don't want to lead the beat-up Virizion stuff immediately game 1. There's so many ways it can go wrong, but I'm just going to do it. How about Calyrex? I probably need Tornadus. That means leaving Kyogre behind, and immediately we see part of why this team is bad. Right? I started with Virizion, and then I gave it 2 supports that both felt important in Maushold and Tornadus. I didn't do it in that order, but that happened. And already, if I want to actually bring that, I have to leave a restricted Pokemon behind, which is just seldom, if ever, optimal. But we're having fun here. Right? You're having fun, right? Tell me you're having fun. You know what I also realized? Virizion has no coverage into Amoonguss. Amoonguss resists Leaf Blade and Close Combat and Electric Terra Blast. Ice Terra Blast would not have that problem. But anyway, I'm just gonna go for I'm gonna go for Population Bomb into Amoonguss because it can redirect anyway. Yeah, it would have just redirected a beat up. Unfortunately, this is non-technician Population Bomb. You can see the difference in damage there. Citrus Berry, Amoonguss as well. I mean, better than Rocky Helmet because that would just take out my Maushold. And Virizion just not hitting all that hard without the boost. I'll just go for this again, I suppose. I also got all 10 Population Bomb hits there. This is not Wide Lens Maushold, so a little bit of luck involved in that. Wait, what? A lot of crits. Of course, when you hit 10 times with your attack, you're going to get a decent number of crits. They just forfeited. The Aqua Jet didn't one-shot Maushold. It was never going to. They were a fair bit lower rated than me, actually, but the Aqua Jet didn't one-shot Maushold. It was never going to because of the Focus Sash. I actually just got 2 KOs there and won the game. Virizion and Maushold closed this one out without me getting a chance to click the side beat up. Alright, we take those. Even if I lose all the rest of the games, we'll always have that one. This opponent also has a Volcarona. They have their own Maushold. So much redirection today. They also have Smeargle. I would guess at least 2 of those Pokemon are running redirection moves, possibly all 3. So go figure. This is how the ladder goes, right? I said if I don't cover for Eternatus, I'll run into 4 Eternatus in a row. I have a tech that's weak to redirection, and everyone's team is piled high with redirection. That's the showdown ladder these days. I'm getting this kind of experience a lot. That said, our Chaldon looks pretty strong here. So maybe we pivot to a mode built around that. Let's try leading Kyogre, our Chaldon, get the rain right away. Bring Tornadus and Calyrex. We'll leave the Virizion Maushold stuff behind. It was so very successful last game. Let's give it a little bit of a rest just for now. Like I said, there's no taking away that first win. See what this opponent comes up with. Almost out of time. There we go. They lead their Kyogre and Smeargle. So, Smeargle is a threat with Fake Out and Spore. I don't have much for that. Maybe I can pivot my Calyrex in, but where Smeargle's immune to Astral Barrage, and I don't have a Sash on the Calyrex, so it's not like I could sit here taking punishment from Kyogre while it focuses down on Smeargle. I do also have Wide Guard in the back of my mind, but most Smeargle that I'm running into lately are not running Wide Guard, so I don't think it's terribly likely, but it's definitely possible that they have it. I'm just going to try to get rid of the Smeargle here. They're not going to let me, but maybe I can accomplish something. They Terra Water their Kyogre immediately and just throw off a Water Spout. That actually doesn't do too terribly much into my Assault Vest or Chaldon. And it's not Sash Smeargle. It actually just gets knocked out by the Origin Pulse. I thought for sure it was going to be Sash Smeargle, and I would have it would be a lot harder to remove, but maybe they have the Sash on their Maushold. In any case, I think here I can just Origin Pulse. They've already used their Terra. I don't know if this will knock out Calyrex, but it should do a lot. And I'll Electro Shot. Their Kyogre did... I think I could afford to Electro Shot the Calyrex and try to deny a Trick Room. If they're going for that. I think I have the tools to beat Kyogre after that still. Especially since I'm weakening the Water Spout by landing Origin Pulses into it. Okay, the only problem with that is that it doesn't KO. They went Leech Seed. Fair enough, they can protect now, but I can take out their Kyogre, which, well, maybe I can't. Chaldon might be in range, I don't know. I think their Kyogre is Scarfed. In any case, I'm preventing a sneaky Trick Room now by clicking this Origin Pulse, as long as it connects. They'll probably protect Calyrex, though. And if our Chaldon goes down, then I can get my Calyrex in. I'm really surprised that that wasn't Focus Sash Smeargle. They just let it go down turn 1 like that. They do let me knock out their Calyrex as well, and I'll get Kyogre too, I think. This Archaludon is, as you can probably tell, heavily invested in bulk, but that was a +2 Electro Shot. And they've already used their Terra. This Volcarona is pretty free, I think. It protects, okay. That was the second last turn of Rain, there's only one more. They might go for the double, but it really doesn't matter at this point. I don't think there's... Yeah, okay, they take out Archaludon. If I get Tornadus now, I can Bleak Wind, Origin Pulse, and then next turn I can set Rain back up if I want. They do get the double protect, actually. Of course, Kyogre is getting that little bit of leftovers recovery while this happens, and yeah, I just Rain Dance here. A Flamethrower, they probably don't have another attack, and that's GG. Actually, if that Volcarona's only attack is Flamethrower, that implies that it's not running an offensive set. I mean, maybe it has like Flamethrower and Heat Wave, or Flamethrower and... You wouldn't run Flamethrower and Fiery Dance, I don't think, but maybe there's some specific calc that they have that for. But if it's not an offensive Volcarona, then that seems like a lot of support Pokemon piled onto one team. Choreograph, Smeargle, Volcarona. The Mousehold could be a Technician Population Bomb thing, but it kind of feels like this player is trying to do damage with just their restricted Pokemon and have a ton of supports to keep them from going down, but that didn't work out with Smeargle just getting knocked out turn 1 like that, and then the Calyrex... Plus, they'd already used their Terra on their Kyogre, so the Calyrex didn't have anything to help it take Origin Pulses. Anyway. Tyranitar, Excadrill, Landorus, Gliscor. Let's go. Cool team. They also have Zamazenta and Duskmane Necrozma as their restricted duo. Of course, Necrozma has already come up in this series, and I chose the Dawn Wings form with a safe and familiar team composition instead of the Duskmane form because I didn't have an idea for how to use it well. So it's very interesting to run into it here. I think Virizion can go crazy here, but it might be difficult. I'm down to try, though, and I'll bring Kyogre, and probably Tornadus. Yeah. I might need the rain. See, Virizion is now immediately threatened by Gliscor, and I'm not loving the choice of Terra Electric, because that's immediately threatened by a lot of their team if I click it. Might do it anyway, though. I'm just gonna go for it though. Let's see if they let me get away with this. And if not, then I try to win with Kyogre. Terra Flying on the Tyranitar immediately, not a good sign for me. Maybe I should have clicked the Terra Electric, right? Terra Blasted Tyranitar, read the Terra. But I don't know, I don't think a lot of them even are running Terra Flying anymore. It was standard in Reg H. I used it on my Toronto team even. But I see Terra Ghost more often now. So I don't think I was ever calling that. But imagine if I had Terastallized and clicked the Electric Terra Blast. Would have been pretty cool. They have Tailwind, I don't. My Tailwind Setter's in the back, but... Here, I think I'm just going to let Mousehold go down to protect Kyogre so that I can throw off Origin Pulses. Maybe I should be clicking Calm Mind. Maybe I should be clicking Calm Mind. There goes Zamazenta, and that's going to be really hard to deal with because I mostly have spread damage from here. It probably has Wide Guard, because they usually do. And I just don't have anything for that. Well, let's see. Yeah, Wide Guard. This is another time that it'd be good to think about Hydro Pump Kyogre. The problem is in what move slot. I'm just going to boost up here, and the goal is let Mousehold go down, get Tornadus in. And then I have my Tailwind available, and I also have Manual Rain Dance for when they set the sand back up. They did Wide Guard into Protect. That's an interesting choice. What if they don't know that you can... What if they don't know that you can Wide Guard back-to-back safely? I'm going to play this as if they don't. That might be my out. At least until they prove that they do. Okay, Mousehold goes down. Kyogre got to +4, which is more than I anticipated, but I just didn't see much reason to attack there. I thought they were going to Wide Guard this turn. I'm going to play as if they don't know that you can Wide Guard back-to-back. Now they Wide Guarded. I just didn't understand that Protect that other turn. Now they get Toxic into Kyogre. That should be GG. I don't think I have enough damage into Zamazenta from here. Oh, I can taunt Zamazenta. What am I doing? They went for Protect. But of course, if you don't know, while Wide Guard is not affected by the Protect timer and will always work consecutively, it does run down the Protect timer. So if you click Protect right after Wide Guard, your Wide Guard odds are always fine, but your Protect odds become bad. I'm going to Protect Kyogre here and Rain Dance, and the reason I'm doing that is that their Tailwind is about to end and mine isn't. So even though I'm letting Kyogre take Poison Chip here, which isn't ideal, I was denying them a chance to potentially do a lot of damage to it with Zamazenta there. I don't love that I lose Tornadus, especially because they can still switch Tyranitar out. That's the downside of not attacking that turn. They can still get Weather Control. And I'm not getting my Tailwind back up, so it's probably too little too late. Also, switching Zamazenta out means the Wide Guard is available again. The good news is they can't safely bring Zamazenta in right now. So I guess I kind of have to choose one, right? Sand or Wide Guard. They're under a ton of pressure still. I'm entertaining the idea that they might have a way through this, but I'm not certain that they do. I would feel comfier with Tornadus still on the field. I know they let these two go down. And actually, yeah, that's the correct choice for them because Zamazenta can just click Wide Guard, and if I don't knock it out with Ice Beam before I drop the poison damage, that's GG. But let's see. I also didn't use my Terra this game, so Terra Electric Virizion was pretty free, but I guess I was just never making that read. That would have been a little bit nuts. Protect. Protect. If they don't click Wide Guard here, I can win. They might not. I think they just Body Press, actually, and they win with that. Right? But if they go for a double Protect and they fail, that's my out. Behemoth Bash. Ooh, no. Not strong enough into a Water type. If they went for a double Protect and they failed, that was an out. But yeah, Behemoth Bash was certainly another one, and +4 Kyogre pulls this one back just in the nick of time. We definitely take those. Ting-Lu, Zamazenta, Mimikyu, Wellspring Mask, Ogerpon, Miraidon, and Iron Moth. Alright. Ting-Lu is very bad news for Calyrex. Not amazing news for Kyogre, because it has Vessel of Ruin and probably a defensive Terra type. Also, Zamazenta, Ogerpon, and Miraidon are all bad news for Kyogre. But there's one Pokemon on my team that is not too bothered by Ting-Lu. Except maybe if it's Terra Poison. You know the one. Still bring Kyogre, and I kind of want to bring Archaludon, but I think Tornadus might be more responsible. This is the problem, right? Tornadus and Tornadus and Maushold are both such important support Pokemon to this team that it kind of warps all the game plans, especially when I want to bring Virizion to games. I'm left leaving strong Pokemon behind. Archaludon is so good into some of these. I'm going to bring it, but I might regret if at some point my rain wears off and I have no way to bring it back or something. They lead Miraidon, Iron Moth. That is not great news. Virizion is immediately pinned. It is special attack boosting Iron Moth, but it still might be faster than Virizion. I'm just going to YOLO this, though. I'm going to Terra Electric, Terra Blast, Iron Moth. I might be faster. It's not impossible. Beat up. Okay. Miraidon knocks Maushold down to its sash. Zamazenta is in. Who moves next? Maushold. That's a good sign. We'll give Virizion a +4 attack here. Iron Moth is next. But it KOs Maushold, but not Virizion, so it is going to have to take this Electric Terra Blast. Goodbye, Iron Moth. Maushold is at 179 speed, Virizion 176, so Iron Moth probably was at max speed because that's 178. Fair enough. Kind of want to get Kyogre in here, but if they go Miraidon, I've already used my Terra. Also, I don't feel great about the use of my Terra because I don't think Virizion is taking anything from this Miraidon now. Let's protect through this turn. Dragon Pulse. A Draco into Virizion. Zamazenta has Iron Defense. I could knock Miraidon out with the Dragon Pulse crit, but still might lose to Zamazenta. Here's the Ting Lu. The good news is I think Virizion will be the fastest. Nope, Zamazenta might be faster, but Zamazenta is probably not. Zamazenta doesn't run max speed. Get out of here. Close combat Ting Lu. Body press Zamazenta? I probably lose to Zamazenta, but let's see if I can remove his teammates. Now it's faster than Virizion. Fortunate for me. They throat chop their own Zamazenta. That has to be a misclick. Probably should be trying to remove the Ting Lu because, I mean, I thought they might not have Wide Guard if they had Iron Defense, but the Vessel of Ruin is obviously a problem here. They knock out Kyogre. Ting Lu is still clicking Throat Chop. It's not clicking Ground Attack. But it doesn't matter. Zamazenta one-shots Archaludon. Alright, GG. I cannot remember whether that's the first or second loss of this video. I'm going to treat it like it's the first. If this runs extra long. Well, you're not going to complain about that, are you? Surely. Surely not. Alright. Fluttermane, Koraidon, Lunala. Imagine complaining about extra content. Brute Bonnet, Raging Bolt, and Incineroar. How do I beat Koraidon? I think this is a leave Virizion behind game. I think it's Kyogre, Tornadus, Calyrex, either Maushold or Archaludon. And I think with these dark types and stuff, I need Archaludon. I don't think I can rely on my restricted Pokemon to do all the damage here. Alright. Oh, they're ready. They lead Raging Bolt and Lunala. I'm going to go Terra Grass and Calm Mind immediately. Hope that I can overwhelm them. And maybe I should switch out to Archaludon here. Kind of want to taunt the Lunala so that it can't set up Calm Mind in parallel. Might be kind of throwing my Tornadus away if I do that. I think it's safer to go Archaludon. I might need the manual Rain Dance later. Terra Water Lunala. That's good in a way, because I can Electro Shot it now. Archaludon doesn't take too much there. Meteor Beam. Also, it's Meteor Beam Lunala, so it won't be running Calm Mind. Kyogre gets a nice setup turn there. We'll go for another one. We'll Electroshot Lunala. Might end up throwing my Archaludon away here, but it's also not Leftovers Lunala, so breaking the Shadow Shield is very valuable. It won't get the HP back, except possibly from a Pollen Puff from Brute Bonnet. Try saying that 10 times fast. Moongeist Beam into Archaludon does a lot of damage. But thanks to the Assault Vest, we will get this Electroshot off before Archaludon is knocked out. Unfortunately, I don't have Thunder on Kyogre, right? I have Origin Pulse and Ice Beam. I think I try to win this with Kyogre, and I think that means I just go for damage with Calyrex right now. And I think that means I lock into Psychic, even though they probably have a Dark type in the back. Because... no, I have Shadow Ball. I can lock into Shadow Ball. Cover for a Wide Guard. There's a Koraidon. Yeah, okay, one problem with my plan here. Is that I've made Kyogre weak to fire. Well, let's see if I can bounce back from that. Get Tornadus in. Tailwind or Rain Dance. Might depend on... Oh. I was going to say whether the Koraidon terrestrializes, but it can't. They've already terrestrialized. Tornadus gets knocked out. That's really bad. I was hoping to find an opening there to Tailwind and Ice Beam. But I can at least now change the move on Calyrex. The bad news is, again, if I lock it into Psychic, I'm locked into Psychic for the rest of the game. But I think that's just what it's going to have to be. Yeah, I would have liked to get a Tailwind off there for sure. They do let me knock out their Koraidon, though. That's huge. That removes an enormous threat to Kyogre. Kyogre probably just wins from here. It's also immune to Spore if they have Brute Bonnet in the back. It's Incineroar, okay. I can't imagine how they came up with that nickname. They can't fake out my Calyrex. But they can Wide Guard this turn. Let's remove Lunala and just Calm Mind instead of Origin Pulsing. No need to rush. Lunala's gone. Kyogre's a +5. Calyrex gets one-shot by a knockoff, but I think that's going to be too late for them to turn this one around. They need to beat They need to beat +5 Kyogre with Incineroar. They could have Flare Blitz on Incineroar, actually. Let's kill their last turn of Sun before I start attacking. They do have Flare Blitz. Okay, well, it won't be Sun boosted now. Let's click Origin Pulse. The Incineroar is actually a greater threat than the Raging Bolt at this point. Nice. And then we can just Ice Beam the Raging Bolt. Alright, that worked out nicely. Combine Kyogre looking really strong this video. Virizion a little bit less strong, but some things here are kind of working. And Virizion had its moment. Nobody can take away that first game, or I didn't even need to set it up. Here's that Eternatus that I foretold. Well, the first of 4, I guess. Because I actually didn't put coverage for Eternatus on my Virizion set, right? Because I went with Terra Electric instead of Ice. Eternatus actually does resist all Virizion's attacks, other than the initial special Terra Blast, but what use is that? So, this is the first of the 4 consecutive Eternatus right here. And I don't have much for it, do I? I have Calyrex. So do they. They have a bunch of Calyrex answers. I'm going to do Virizion Mousehold. I can either population bomb Indeedee or beat up Virizion and start attacking, unless of this. But what can you do if that? Calyrex. I want to bring Calyrex Tornadus, but I think that I'm putting it all on frail attackers at that point. They rejected open team sheets. I mean, I think I can probably imagine what they're cooking here. I might be unhappy to not have Tailwind in this game, but I think it's Kyogre. This is the call. Indeedee Calyrex. So Calyrex could just wipe out Virizion. Maybe not. If I protect and I get a good population bomb into Indeedee. They have Expanding Force. Forgot about that. Could be Rocky Helmet Indeedee. It's not, but I only got one hit with the population bomb. That's really unlucky. Needs wide lens? Yeah, well, Focus Sash. This is the problem, right? Like, Mousehold usually specs into either a full support set or a full offensive set. I sometimes feel like I can get away with a hybrid Mousehold, and sometimes I can, but it does have some shortcomings here and there. I'm going to bring in my Calyrex, though, because if they're clicking Expanding Force, I should be able to take that. Follow me. Expanding Force. They can just Terra Dark if they have it. But let's make them prove that. I'm going to cover for that with a Pop Bomb into the Calyrex, assuming that it doesn't just Expanding Force again. If they go Astral Barrage here, then Mousehold survives that. They also could click Follow Me again, but... Hey, you never know. Terra Normal, okay. Same concept. Worse for me because it takes no damage from this. And they do just Expanding Force again. So they called me out there. I thought I'd get away with the population bomb, but no. Alright. Well, Kyogre win or bust. Sack Virizion so that Calyrex can change moves. Maybe I should be clicking Calm Mind, but that feels too slow here. I don't know. Especially since the Calyrex gets right back up, or gets right to +2 here immediately. Takes that Origin Pulse way too well though, and they can just redirect. I can't even side Pollen Puff Kyogre because they'll redirect that. I'll try anyway because it'll do good damage to Indeedee if they do. But that's the only way that Kyogre takes this Astral Barrage. Yeah. Alright, GG. They got me good with that Shadow Rider Indeedee lead. I don't have anything for that, I suppose. GG. And let's go fight the next Eternatus, shall we? Gotta beat the next two if we're gonna face 4 in a row. Alright, this Eternatus team has Ice Rider, Calyrex, Indeedee, Cerulege, Rillaboom, Scraggy, and Zamazenta. It's an interesting take on Eternatus for sure. Double terrain, huh? They also have redirection. Surely I land more than one population bomb hit into this Indeedee if that's what I choose to go for, right? Let's try it. This could be the last game of the video. Let's just try it. Calyrex. And I kind of want to bring our Chaladon. But our Chaladon without Rain feels silly. But Kyogre doesn't feel amazing here. But Kyogre feels good enough here. I'll bring it. But that means leaving Tornadus behind, which is, again, this team has worked better than I expected. But one huge shortcoming of this team is that I want to bring all three of Virizion, Mousehold, and Tornadus to a lot of games, but I can't do that and also bring both Restricteds. I'm just going to switch Kyogre in immediately and Population Bomb Indeedee. They're going to follow me Trick Room, I assume. Kyogre can take a Glacial Lance better than most of my team can. Better than anything else on my team, actually. They didn't follow me. And again, non-technician Population Bomb, not really doing enough damage. In a different position, it could be nice as a finishing move, but It's not just... Oh, I see. They click Trick Room with that. It's not just knocking out the Indeedee immediately, like you want to see. I might as well preserve Mouse Hold this turn at least and keep the Friend Guard up. A lot of these Ice Rider Calyrex are running Terra Water now, but we don't see it immediately, at least from this one. A Light Screen and a crit the Calyrex through it and do a little bit more than half. That means the next one, unless it crits again, will not do that much. Light Screen Indeedee is a neat tech. I'm kind of just pinned now. Trick Room is up. Nothing on my team takes Glacial Lance except Kyogre, and Kyogre doesn't like to have to deal with Rillaboom, and if I Terastallize Kyogre to deal with Rillaboom, I can't really handle the Glacial Lance anymore. So I think genuinely I protect Kyogre here, and okay, I double-clicked by accident there, but I was going to say I think my best play is to go for the double protect with Mouse Hold. Just try to get through these Trick Room turns however I can. Woodhammer into Kyogre, really bad news for me. I mean, yeah, Kyogre is left to either get knocked out by Rillaboom or knocked out by Calyrex. Take your pick. I'm just going to spam Protects and hope something works out. But that's obviously not really a winning approach. Kyogre fails the double. Gets knocked out by Rillaboom, and I'm forced to bring Calyrex in a turn too early, as of course I'm running Choice Spec, so it doesn't have Protect. But what can you do? GG. Shall we get one more? Virizion has already had some moments in this video, but I'm going to do the send-off anyway, because the justified setup has really not accomplished much. I'm going to attempt it in the lead, no matter what my opponent has. This doesn't look like a good matchup for it, but hey, Terra Electric Virizion might go kind of crazy here. Calyrex Tornadus. Might lose to Dondozo. But if they don't bring Dondozo, might be able to beat the rest. We'll see. How do I beat Chi-Yu? It lets me close combat it, that's how. Actually, the Chi-Yu could easily Terastallize here, so... The Chi-Yu's not going to Terastallize, is it? The Chi-Yu's just going to outspeed Virizion and knock it out. Well... How's it going to take a +4 Electric Terror Blast? It's not going to be +4 because they're going to knock Mouse Hold out before I even get the setup up. No! Mouse Hold outspeeds me right on, okay. Hang on. Virizion's taking so much damage though. We knock out the Chi-Yu. We take the Volt Switch. Okay, hold on, we're cooking here. Mirai on Dondozo. Mirai on Dondozo. Let's see this take a... Yeah, I get the terrain boost too. Let's see this take an Electric Terror Blast. And follow me on the likely Volt Switch from Miraidon. There's no Volt Switch, they just hard swap to Tatsugiri. You can still redirect an attack from Dondozo. Electric Terror Blast comes out first, it only does 30%. Got a little bit excited, forgot about Unaware. Earthquake takes out Electric Virizion. Terra Electric Virizion was not amazing in this video, let's be honest. But hey, we're experimenting. Well, I can win with a nice Astral Barrage crit. Let's taunt Dondozo so it can't protect. Terra Electric. What is it, about to Terra Blast Tornadus or something? Just Wave Crash into Calyrex. That's GG. Tornadus isn't beating all these by itself. Let's see if I can take out Dondozo. No. Alright. Well, this team fell off pretty hard toward the end of the video, but it did actually get some wins. Honestly, it performed better than I thought it would. And Virizion had some fun. I mean, it is not good. It is really bad in this format. Most games that I brought it to, all I could do was switch it out or protect. But you know what? I was settling into a little bit of a comfort zone, building some familiar, cozy teams for this series, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There are a lot of videos in this series. That's going to happen sometimes. But I like that I got a little bit more creative with this team, and while the team was, I would say, not good, it held up better than I expected. So I definitely had fun with this one. Virizion is bad, but Virizion made for good content, I think. Hopefully you agree. And as always, we'll find out soon what's next.